Good afternoon, everybody, and hope you're enjoying the third annual forum so far. We've started with really great, and we're continuing with a really amazing panel discussion on our panel right now, panel I, on countering the commercialization of open science. So to start us off, we have Dr. Kamel Belhamel, who will be talking about strengthening no-fee open access publishing in the Arab world. Thank you, Dr. Kamel.
Thank you very much for your kind invitation. So today we speak about strengthening no-fees open access to publishing in Arab world. So we will give some statistic and the current state of open access journal indexed in DOAJ, and also some platform in Arab world, improving accessibility and promoting open access scholarly communication in Arab world, and some factors underpin Western dominance and their impact on the Arab world. Of course, we give some recommendation and DOAJ promoting open access towards decolonizing knowledge. So, as you know, that the movement of open access in the world, and specifically in Arab world, know very important growth and a lot of initiative launched in this field. So publication, science adoption of initiative of Budapest 2002, a lot of indication and a lot of initiative to move from printed publication to open access. And of course, we will give some example for those initiatives in our region. So as you know that the open access at the beginning, there are a lot of models, green open access, gold open access, and other models. As you know that gold open access based on, of course, it's free for users, but the scholars and the authors have to pay some fee, some article processing charge. As science, the coronavirus pandemic, that a lot of journals launched to open access, but they start to apply very high article processing charge. Of course, those scientific get to income to cover the publishing, editorial, operation, and peer review, and other functional costs. This give a big problem, especially for scholars from Arab world. As in this slide, we can give the Butler and all in their publication at Kamel Lab. They publish, give estimate of annual APC revenue for 6 big publishers, and you can see that the MDPI is have about $700 million as APC for their journals. So of course, this is a big barrier for publisher from Arab world. Article processing fees are often expensive and limit open access circulation among less influential scholars and institutions, and also students. So this barrier, especially for scholars from global south, of course, those journals are apply those very high APC, mostly the prestige of the publication that impact the price. For example, if you take example of Nature, you have to pay, and to publish in this journal, you have to pay more than $5,000 for one article. So it's impossible for a scholar from global South, or especially from Arab world, to pay these fees, as there is no foundation and there is no budget for such process. So actually, many international efforts are taking place around diamond open access and the sustainability of publishing landscape. As you know, that those no fees open access journal don't apply any fees for authors, and also, of course, for they are open, so the user also gets those publication for free. But of course, those diamond open access journal, they are paid, or they get some fund from organization, foundation, and some government. And I can give some an example of those initiatives through the world in Europe. So we have the Plan S. This has been a strong advocate for those kind of open access, diamond open access in all books and journals, and the cost, they think that it's possible to have a fund for those journals for Europe country. Is this initiative for Europe country, and to have a federation between institutions to have. But this plans is starting in 2020, and till now there is no conclusion for. There is an individual initiative from government in Europe. Other initiative is by Spark Europe, as this study highlights the global significance over 17,000 diamond open access journals, and they how to sustain these journals. As you know, that the problem with those diamond open access journal, they can disappear after 1, 2, 3 years, because there is no fund for those to manage those journals. Other initiative is America, is initiative led by Latin America Institution to Advance Open Knowledge through Diamond Open Access, and it's there is no commercial, and also no based on without APC for those journals. Of course, those Diamond Open Access journal get funding from the institution and the government, their government in South America. Other initiative in South America is the Cielo Scientific Electronic Library. It's also launched in 1998 in Brazil, but actually many of which adhere to this new models, Diamond Open Access model, and many journals shift to this. There are also European projects called the DIAMAS, the Diamond, developing institutional open access publishing models to advance scholarly communication. And this also this project, European project, help to advocate for to have a model, this model to be used by European and European countries and other. There is also in this project Craft Open Access. This publisher the publishing landscape for open access journal in Europe is high diverse, and also this project activate and promote target to make the open diamond open access as default. Palomera is also a policy alignment of open access monograph in the European research area. It's also a new project. And also there is another initiative, Diamond Open is the ideal platform. They put some journal, and by Diamond Scientific Publishing, the last initiative it's only launched last week, and this is funding for flipping journal to Diamond Open Access. So the Dutch Research Council support academic journal that wish to make a transition from Scopus model to open access. So this is a German initiative. So this Diamond Open Access get funding in total about 500,000 is available as a fund to move to this new models Diamond Open Access journal. So it's very, very interesting, and as you see that a lot of initiative take towards this new model without no fees for German for open access diamond. The UNESCO recommendation on open science encourage member states to support no-profit academic and scientific community-driven publishing models as common good. It's label, and it's this initiative and recommendation, and of course UNESCO launched a survey about also this new models, Diamond Open Access, and they will put some recommendation for member states to support this by creating, of course, fund, Diamond Open Access Fund for this type of models. So Diamond Open Access is a global pragmatic shift in scholarly publishing, and this is a recommendation for this new model. So no fees open access publishing called Diamond Open Access is of course referred to scholarly publishing where both authors and the reader don't incur any fees. So this is a definition of no fees, or I prefer this definition, no fees open access publishing than Diamond. It's the same, Diamond Open Access. So the benefit of open access publishing, so promote knowledge dissemination through the world, and of course facilitate collaboration research. Of course, current state in Arab world, very limited adoption due to the financial, institutional, and the technological barrier. Of course, the benefit of no open access publishing increase the accessibility and has the research impact and the promotion of collaboration. This is the benefit of some initiative from Arab world on open access publishing. So I have collected some top 10 countries from Arab world and their platform. So there is a portail des revues scientifiques marocaines. This is the national platform of electronic edition. So in this platform, there are about 178 journals. Only 34 open access journal in DOAJ, but from those journals we can only have from statistic from our database in DOAJ, there are 33 open access journal in DOAJ without fees. So it means that all open access journal indexed in the DOAJ are diamond open access. In Algeria, there are also very important platforms. In this platform, there are about 878 journals with because this platform also a repository for those journals. And there are about 2,047 247,000 of articles are in you can download for free from this platform. So as you see that from 878 open access journal, there are only 29 open access journal indexed in DOAJ. So about 1%. It's very, very low because a lot of criteria, those journals don't have the DOAJ criteria. And from 2029, there are 26 open access journal in DOAJ without fees. It means that about all journal, as you know, all journal in Algeria are diamond because the government can declare the journal as a predatory journal if they apply for APC. So 800 journal are without APC because this initiative launched and funded by the government, Algerian High Ministry of Education. So all journals are free, so you can publish. The problem, their indexation, most of them are not visible and are not indexed. And from other thing, from 800 journal, there are there are about 400 are in Arabic journal. In Tunisia, there are no platform, but we find some portal periodic scientific Tunisian in Tunisia. Yeah, so only there are only 26 open access journal and 5 are indexed and without fees. Also, Libya launched a new platform of open access journal, and they indexed about 69 open access journal, and only 3 are indexed in DOAJ without fees. The most important platform in Arab world is Knowledge Bank. It's about 1,000 of open access journal, but around 247 open access journal indexed in DOAJ, but only 51 open access journal without fees. It means that most of journal indexed in DOAJ are with the fees because those journal are also some journal are indexed in other publisher. Other platform, Iraqi academic scientific journal, Iraq academic scientific journal, about 400 journal open access, and only 28 are without fees. Qatar, of course, I found in Q-Science 26 journal, but only 14 journal are indexed in DOAJ and 13 without fees. Bank al-Ma'rifa is Saudi platform about 41 open access journal and 21 open access journal without fees. Bahrain, about 18 open access journal, only 1 without fees indexed in DOAJ. As you see that The important initiative in Arab world are, of course, in Egypt and Algeria and also Iraq, with a very interesting platform. Of course, we give briefly some challenging fasting no-fees open access. As I told that financial content, limited funding, research, lack of institution support, and culture and language issue that limit the visibility of those open access journals. So the potential solution for promoting no fees open access in Arab world. So enhancing Arab country collaboration, developing alternative metric and methodology, and creating actionable recommendation and guide for no open access journal, as this is as a global Diamond Open Access Federation between Arab world, or regional open access capacity hubs, or we can develop Diamond Open Access Journal books and output as a national and so I have to go to this. Some case way the DOAJ contributes towards no fees, the visibility for no Western journal, challenging homogeny metrics, and supporting indigenous knowledge systems. So this is support from DOAJ. So DOAJ and the community funded, you can, there is some journal tools, open access journal tools. It's an application and guide how to launch a new journal and other partner. So community project to support open access. Jasper is also an initiative to preserve open access, especially Diamond Open Access Journal, because as I told that every year a lot of journals disappear because they have no funding. And at the end, thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Kamel. You've set the stage for some really good questions that are coming up in the discussion. We'll hear about Diamond Open Access more and more moving forward, but I'll save those. And I just want to point that DOAJ is one of the most important platforms and it needs your support. If you come to my presentation tomorrow, I'll explain how. So next we have Dr. Mohammed Boufars from Librify UAE. And he'll be his presentation title is Breaking the Curse. Can an end to Scopus-Worship provide an opportunity to embrace more open access practices? A title that is dramatic and very poetic. So I'm looking forward to Dr.
Thank you very much, Dr. Al-Walid, and thank you very much, everyone, for being here. As Dr. Al-Walid said, it's a dramatic title, and it is meant to be a dramatic title because of the situation that the dominance of Scopus and, as a matter of fact, the commercial products is something. Yeah. And actually, it is the presentation is motivated by a few reasons. Yeah, I can see that the slides are not there. Are we sitting now? It's okay? Okay. Actually, recently I have been working on a very promising study about the interaction between R&D and science policy in the UAE. And as part of the process of searching and working on this project, we have discovered that there is a lot of things that can be highlighted and discussed in terms of dominance of commercial research tools, and how actually Scopus is one of the products that is a mantra in higher education institutions in the UAE, where researchers are being pressed to publish in Scopus. So my argument today is how actually the end of Scopus-Worship, as I would call it, can contribute to more open research in our region. So, and also there is one other motivation, talking about the context of the research landscape in the world. We have noticed that China has been doing a lot of research evaluation, and especially in terms of the changes to its science policy. And they are shifting the focus to local or localized assessments of research. So the objective is to analyze the ramifications for the Arab world and the prospects for adopting open access practices. China's ambitious research reforms, if you are familiar with it, is China is trying to end what they have framed or what they have defined as Scopus-Worship. So the idea is to put an end to the dominance of international metrics and enhancing the research quality, especially the local research quality. And actually, it was not a coincidence or accidental, but I think COVID-19 had a big role to play in this, in a way that some relevant research was published in international journals while China itself was struggling with the pandemic, and they have discovered later that this research was available out there. So it is very important to align these assessments with national research priorities. And these points are about the Chinese reform, actually. And also to only high quality publications factored in research evaluation. And we're going to talk about what they define by research quality or high research quality. It's not 100% Scopus or Web of Science, but they have their own criteria. So there is a need for new research assessment infrastructures. And China has taken a route where there is more focus on local peer review, and they are factoring representative works of their researchers in lieu of the Web of Science-based indicators. So in the China's reform, third representative work should be published in local journals. This is in terms of their new assessment methodology. And also, they want to build strong national journals and encourage publication of high-quality works in these journals. And they also have created some kind of blacklists, even though I'm not a fan of blacklists. But China is actually trying to curb the predatory publishing by putting a bad badge on open access journals somehow. But we'll come to that. Only high quality research benefits from APC payments. So it's not like you want to publish anywhere, the APCs will be funded, only high quality research will be covered. So for those who don't know what Scopus-Worship or Scopus-Worship for that sake is the overemphasis on achieving recognition through publication in high prestige journals indexed in databases like Web of Science or Scopus. And again, I can repeat that it is a mantra. At least in the UAE, where I am familiar with, everybody is just fighting and struggling and investing a lot of money in a way that will promote publications in Scopus. And of course, we know the reason. It's the university rankings. What is the characteristics of Web of Science or Scopus-Worship is the focus on prestige over local relevance. And I gave you the example of the COVID-19 publications that came out of China and the consequences of doing that. There is also a lot of institutional pressure for high impact publications because for now, for most of these institutions, the de facto measure of high quality or high impact is to be indexed in Scopus. Neglect of local and regional research, and we will see that in later in the slides, where actually a big majority of the research coming out of the UAE in the humanities and social sciences is not captured because of this. Prioritization of quantity over quality. This is, of course, the outcome when you pressure the researchers to publish. It's like publish or perish, and so on. And also, there is a global imbalance in scientific knowledge. And as a result, the concept of equity that we are talking about continuously in scientific publications is also an outcome of that. So as I mentioned before, there is a problem of when we define quality in the publications in Scopus. Some of the outcomes of that could be salami slicing, where the researchers are actually getting out more publications out of the same data sets. It exacerbates global research inequality, as I mentioned, limits open access to knowledge, and I will explain that later in comparison with the local journals and how much of those are open access versus what's in Scopus. Neglect of national and local research needs, as anyone who has tried to publish research relevant to their own country in Scopus index journals, they would tell you how much rejections they have got only because the publication doesn't fall within the scope of the journal, or we don't have enough readership for that, etc., etc. And also marginalized local languages. I was just talking to a couple of friends before, and I told them, have a look at the inclusion criteria of Scopus, and you will know what I mean. I think the word English has been mentioned, I cannot say how many, but a lot in the inclusion criteria, where there is an over-focus on English language, as metadata has to be in English, keywords have to be in English, abstracts has to be in English, the scope, the website of the journal has to be in English, and so on and so forth. Some of it makes sense, some of it doesn't, to be frank with you. Costly access prices, as we can see later, we'll compare just a few examples of how much the APCs cost in local journal versus a Scopus index journal. And the biggest problem for me is restriction of the ability to reshare of data from the commercial publishers. Like, I cannot just give you the data I have worked on in which I extracted from Scopus. So this is against the openness of science. So this example that you see here is a snapshot from the research that we have been doing with my friend Reem, looking at the interaction between R&D and scientific output in the UAE. And you will be able to see how the language, actually, if we look at the English, if we look at the English number of articles in the UAE between 2013 and 2022, and then look at Arabic, there is only 33 journals, 33 articles in 2022, which is really a big dramatic situation. And also, if we look at the Scopus index journals, we will see again the dominance of English language. If you see in Scopus, 78.9, and in the Web of Science, it's about 62%. And Arabic doesn't even figure among the top 10 languages. And also the dominance of the European, North American. So these databases or these systems are Eurocentric, I would say. And the interesting thing, Yani, is there are only about 29 Arabic journals in Scopus. The end of Scopus-Worship will enable or empower local journals and content, promote local peer review practices, stimulate the creation of local research evaluation systems, and increase local research visibility, wider dissemination, and enhanced collaboration. So when we are talking about empowering local journals, one of the few challenges that the local Arabic journals are facing is limited recognition, funding constraints, competition with international journals. And usually because the higher education institutions are focusing on Scopus index journals, the researchers themselves even opt for that. So there is a greater opportunity for greater focus on quality, improved local research relevance, and enhanced community engagement. Supporting local open access journals means also focusing on supporting local diamond open access journals that are free to read and free to publish in. We have the example of the Federation of Finnish Learned Societies and National Library of Finland, infrastructure and finances reports for journals to flip to or maintain open access status. And also, the dangerous trend right now is that the commercial approach to open access is that it's creating a de facto or a default where gold is the main route, yeah. While actually there are a lot of other options, yeah. And we rarely hear now people talking about self-archiving, etc. And limiting the success of hybrid journal practices. And this is also a dangerous one because we keep paying for subscriptions or transformative agreements, while actually there are a lot of commercial hybrid journals out there. And in my opinion, the APCs that are paid for databases for journals that are indexed in Scopus could be put into local open access capacity building with collaboration or with international initiatives, of course. And we have examples in Latin America. I think my friend, Dr. Belhamel has already mentioned about CLO and those examples. So these graphs here show you how the percentage of open access, for example, in terms of comparing the UAE to the global situation of the percentage of open access, and that's a huge difference. And also the average APCs, when we are talking about an average of $500 for the UAE journals, and against an average of about 1,600 something in the international or global situation. And also, because by stopping the dictation for our researchers to publish in Scopus indexed journals, we can diversify the publishing landscape, giving local authors the opportunity to publish in Arabic and get recognized. Because right now, a lot of researchers approach me, for example, and say, my faculty is asking me to publish in a Scopus index journal, while this researcher actually is teaching Islamic studies or Arabic studies. Yeah. And with that number of Arabic journals in Scopus, that's a big problem. This also would encourage the authors to publish in a wider array of publication venues, including smaller or regional journals, institutional repositories, or other platforms that promote open access. And also, the end of the dictation to publish in Scopus would promote equity in research by overcoming financial barriers related to publish and access research, and in the Eurocentric publishing landscape with opportunities given to publishers and scholars in the global south. And as per, as per the China's research reform, they are shifting the focus to local peer review. So, because we always criticize the quality of local journals, but this is an opportunity to foster a local culture of quality and credibility, and also to have context-specific insights to our region, fostering local academic networks, and creating a local competitive environment where quality journals will survive. And also, this provides a golden chance for local research assessment. Current practices, as we mentioned, is based on SCI and Scopus-Worship, but the proposed changes could create or develop local assessment criteria, emphasizing research impact on local communities, factoring local and Arabic publications in the evaluations, and recognizing open access practices, and promote the creation of pro-open access alternative metrics. And we have examples like, for example, JUFO in Finland, where they are evaluating the journals regardless if they are indexed in Scopus or Web of Science, or local journals are also factored in the JUFO, the publication forum, where the journals are all categorized in 3 or 4 categories, with 1 being basic and 3 being the highest and 0 is being it's listed, but not evaluated. And I think there is also some similar initiatives in other countries, and Nikesh mentioned something about India developing their own journal evaluation platform. In conclusion, we would say that moving away from Scopus metrics can have many potential benefits for OA. It will help develop funding mechanisms for local open access journals, invest APC funds to build capacity, promote and embrace of open access practices, and support local research initiatives. Create a local research assessment framework inspired by the likes of JUFO and some of the Nordic countries' models. And foster partnerships with international open access initiatives. Promote awareness of open access benefits among research institutions, and establish local peer review networks. That's the end to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mohammed. That was very interesting. And please think of some questions. We'll have some time for questions and answers. And I noticed that Mohammed, you had citation from Professor Laxo. So Professor Laxo, if you're hearing me, I still want to do a PhD with you. Thank you. Now for our next speaker, Nikesh Narayan from Zayed University, UAE. And a very important part, we talk about open access. We talk about how we should do it. What is the impact? So Nikesh, please tell us what is the impact.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks, Dr. Walid, for the kind introduction. I'm Nikesh Narayanan, an IT librarian at Zayed University, Dubai. So today I'm going to talk about maximizing citation impact, the citation advantages of hybrid green open access, and strategic library interventions. My friend, Dr. Mohammed Bafras talked about alternative metrics to Scopus and Web of Science. That made my job a little more easier. So in the second part, I'm also going to talk about that, so I can reduce that one. Okay, so the presentation is really 2 parts. The first part, I will talk about why hybrid and green OA have more citation advantages than gold open access. That's the first part. And the second part, I'll talk about what strategic decision should libraries make. So, actually, there are some key terms like gold, green, and hybrid OA. All of you know about that. But usually we start with the definitions. So let me start with the definitions. So it takes only 1 minute. The gold OAS means, when a journal publishes all articles in open access mode. And green OA, we will talk about later that. Hybrid means it's really a subscription-based journal, but publishes some article in OA mode. Green open access is really important. Like the publishers allow to deposit author's accepted version or the preprints or postprints into their institutional repository or some other personal repositories. So this green mode has really important one. We will talk more about that later. So regarding the first part, I have conducted a study on open access models of the publications of the UAE research scholars based on the Scopus data. So here you can see, please pay your attention to the green part and the red part mainly. The green part talk about the field-weighted citation impact. That's a Scopus measure. I think all of you know about that. So usually it takes care of the similar publications in the same subject area and make a standard. If field-weighted citation impact is more than 1, the journal is considered a better or good journal. So you can see here, the hybrid gold OA is far better than the gold OA. Hybrid OA has 3.23 field-weighted citation impact compared to the gold OA, and green OA is in between. We will come to that point why it is happening. And the red part, that is the publication in top-ranked journals. You can see here, the hybrid OA journals are really, really good. They are published in top 10%. 41.4% of these journals are published in top 10% journals. But gold, it is 21.2. Now you understand what's the reason for the citation advantage of hybrid journals. Okay, we will again talk it later. And I have conducted a study of an individual university, Khalifa University. The result is almost same. You can see here, Khalifa University hybrid gold is 3.53, and compared to the gold OA of 1.53. So it's also really half. That means gold OA journals have less citation impact compared to the hybrid OA journals. It's nothing but, it's published, most of the hybrid OA journals are published in highly ranked journals. Okay, so, and apart from the UAE, I have also selected another university from the Middle East region, that is KAUST, which is one of the best universities in terms of ranking. So the result is same. 2.41 for hybrid gold, but 1.66 for the gold open access. But here you need to, pay attention to the green one. You can see here, like in the green one, it is 2.12. Field-weighted citation impact is 2.12, and hybrid gold is 2.41. So it is very close. But for Khalifa University, I will go back to the previous one. Yeah, for the UAE, you can see here 3.23 and 1.93. The green is 1.93 and the hybrid gold is 3.23. Huge difference. But for KAUST, yeah, okay. Yeah, but for KAUST, it is very close. Why is that? Why is it so? Because KAUST has a very good repository, and they post most of the preprints and postprints into their repository. This is what I want to mention here and pay emphasis. So the university should pay attention to post their preprints and postprints to the repository. Many universities in the UAE, all the big universities have their own repository, but none of them have postprint, preprint kind of depositing kind of behavior. So we need to make it as a mandate and think about that. This is what I want to mention here. And I have made a comparison of Khalifa University and KAUST. Both of them are engineering universities. So you can see here, for the hybrid gold, Khalifa is way ahead compared to KAUST. Because the last 2 years, Dr. Abdullah is here, they have a policy that they will pay the open access fees or the APC help for only top 10% of the journals, if it is published in top 10% of the journals. So that's the reason that usually top journals with more citation, in the case of hybrid gold, Khalifa is ahead. But if you look at green, KAUST is ahead. Why? The same reason what I mentioned earlier, KAUST has a very good repository with the postprints and preprints. Okay. So this is actually the reputation of older side. You can see here hybrid gold is far better than gold OA. Okay. This is regarding the ranking of the journal. You can see here, there's a direct correlation between publications in top journals and the field-weighted citation impact. For example, hybrid OA is 41.4% of the journals are published in top journals. So the direct correlation that 3.23, it's higher than green or gold OA. Now, to conclude the first part, we can say that hybrid OA journals typically get published in high-impact subscription-based journals, and the prestige and reputation of these journals attract more citation. And gold OA journals vary significantly in quality, and many newer or less established open access journals struggle to attract the same level of citations. And the green OA articles may face delays between the preprint posting and official publication. When you talk about the green OA, an article become green OA when it is posted in a repository. Otherwise, it is not green OA. For example, publishers allow you to post in a repository, but if it is not posted, it is not a green OA journal. So the green OA numbers may differ by day. For example, if I post one of my article in a repository, that will become a green OA article. Okay. Now we will go to the second part, the dilemma of institutional support for open access. Usually, many institutions are spending a lot of money for open access nowadays, but some of the institutions do not have a direction whether to pay for the gold open access or for the hybrid gold, because most of the researchers want to publish in hybrid because they are very highly ranked journals. But you need to keep on paying for that. We will come to that point, but gold OA is fully open access. So that's a dilemma. And the next slide. So since we want to support the hybrid journals also, since they are very highly ranked, the reason is that publishers are very reluctant to release their very impactful journals to the gold open access stream. So once it is gold open access stream, usually the publishers will get the price only for the publishing cost, APC cost. But in some publishers, I'm not blaming all publishers, they would get the money from double dipping from both from the subscription and through the APC. So some publishers are really good. I appreciate those publishers. But when we talk about the transformative agreement, we should think whether it is really transformative or not. What is meant by transformation? The transition from the subscription model to the open access model. That is the real transformation. So we need to think whether it is really happening. So in the next slide, I have a story of Plan S. So now I will talk about some of the challenges of transformative OA. One is double dipping, I already mentioned. Then non-carry forward of tokens. So universities know about that. You cannot carry forward the tokens, APC tokens to the next year. That will expire. So then the universities and researchers are in a pressure situation, like, publish very fast. They need to publish. That will affect the quality of the publication also. Okay. So this is the story. Okay. Yeah, this is the story of Plan S. I think all of you know about Plan S. Plan S is a global open access initiative led by Coalition S, a consortium of national research agencies and funders. So their main aim is to help immediate open access, no embargo, right retention, support for transformative agreement. We will concentrate this point, support for transformative agreements and diverse OA models. Since we do not have much time, let me go to the next slide. The real story of Planus. Okay, Planus started in 2020 with the 14 publishers and 2240 journals initially. And every year they evaluate. They put some target for each journal that certain number of publications should be in open access mode and it should increase every year. You can see here in the third column, only 1% of the journal transferred to the open access mode. And in 2022 also 1% of the journal, 2023, 4% of the journal. But in the fourth column, you can see they put a target, I already mentioned, only 44% of the journal met that target and 56% couldn't. So it's not a failure. Actually, Planus really improved the number of open access publication role, but it didn't meet the target, what they put. So they decided, it's a little difficult. So this is regarding the publishers. Actually, Springer, Cambridge University Press have done well in that area, even though they didn't meet the target, but they did well, really. You can see that green mark, but rest all the publishers failed. And Planus decided to end financial support for hybrid, the transformative models, and they are going to stop it in 2024, at the end of 2024, because they don't want to continue the hybrid models without transforming to the OA path. That is the basic feature of transformative, but many publishers are not giving an assurance on that. And they are going to shift to innovative models like community-driven open access initiatives. And these are some of the initiatives: Diamond Open Access, collaboration with the university presses like Cambridge University, experiments in open peer review, open bibliometric databases that Dr. Mohammed Baufras mentioned earlier. So, and actually the community-driven initiatives, like there are some challenges in that area. When you start a gold open access or diamond open access journals, it will take 2 to 3 years to get indexed in Scopus or Web of Science kind of indexes. So the authors are not willing to publishing it. For example, Knowledge started a diamond open access journal. I don't know whether it is indexed in Scopus, but if it is not indexed in Scopus, like the researchers are very reluctant to publish in that. So we need to think about an alternative metrics like what he mentioned, like national journals, quality list, some kind of alternative arrangements. And you can see call to action: higher education institutions should establish national journal list. Do not depend fully on Scopus or Web of Science. Okay. These are some of the national journals list. Dr. Mohammed Baufras mentioned some of them. So I was talking about the difficulties that new diamond and gold open access journals that are facing due to non-indexing in Scopus kind of indexes and Web of Science kind of indexes. So we need to think about open metrics and national journals list. And some of the examples here that they moved to open indexes like Sorbonne University. I got this reference from the Planus website, and CNRS, LEAD, CWTS, etc. And there are some examples of national journal list: ABDC journal quality list of Australia, CAPS academic journal guide by UK, and CNRS categorization of journals by France, UGC care list in India, and Dr. Mohammed Baufras mentioned some other quality journals list. And current status of green open access in the UAE. So we found that hybrid journals have the citation, more citation impact, and just behind that green open access. So we need to promote, we need to think whether we need to give all our money through transformative agreements, or we need to invest our money and efforts into green or open access. Actually, my opinion is that, of course, it should go parallelly, but we need to emphasize more on green open access and make sure that our institutional repository contains all the preprints or the postprints. And that way, the research will be disseminated. And when it gets published in the real publisher's journal, if you are interested, anyone can read at least initially, right? If you are interested, you can go and procure that one. So in that way, we can disseminate our research. So you need to concentrate more on green OA. And while negotiating for the transformative agreement, we need to ask for the postprint and immediate deposit of postprint in our institution repository. Normally, publishers won't allow that. They impose some 10 months or 15 months embargo period for that postprints, but we can always negotiate. Some publishers will allow that. Then in that way, we can, again, help the growth of open science. So the UAE universities, none of them have currently the postprint, preprint kind of repository. So we need to think more about that. Yeah, I have only 2 more slides. It's a little bit difficult. Okay. So what is the effective library interventions for transformative agreement? So I already mentioned about promote green open access and evaluate transformative agreement thoroughly. Avoid rushing into transformative agreements without a clear strategy and access the publishers long-term committed to fully transitioning to open access model. That is the meaning of transformation or the transition from one model to another. So we should ask publishers whether you would transfer or transition to this journal to the open access mode in the future. Can you give us assurance for that? Then only we will invest in the transformative agreement for that journal. We should tell them. In the agreement, they should write like that. That is the planners model, but it's a failure. But still, it improved the quality, the numbers of OA. And cost transparency, we should ask publishers how you calculated the cost. They always tell that it's based on your previous publication, and we did the calculation. What is the formula of the calculation we should ask? They should give us the formula. Then we can, it's a genuine one and it's a transparent one. We always should ask about that. And negotiate green OA provisions, like I already mentioned, and carry forward of APC tokens also, we should ask to the publishers. And these are national level interventions, like Consortium of Higher Educations. This is a very good consortium, open forum, but this is, international level. We should form a consortium of national universities like UAE University, Khalifa University, Zayed University, etc. in the case of UAE, and get more bargaining power with the publisher. Otherwise, a single university, they will decide, yeah, we don't give to that university. When it is a consortium, we will get more bargaining power and create a national journal list for those journals. For example, Diamond and Green, Diamond and Gold Open Access Journal, which are not indexed in Scopus. Universities should take a decision that we will consider this also for your promotion and career progress, not only the Scopus index journals. And establish a national OA repositories and platform and OA mandate. It is necessary, institutional level and national level. Only one. Only 2 minutes, yeah. Actually, the changing itself, yeah. And summary, this is the last one. Summary and path forward. Promote, yeah, we have seen that, hybrid journals have more citation impact, but we should promote, and green is just behind that. We should promote green open access and promote gold and diamond OAs. We should fund for the promotion of gold and diamond OA and explore alternative journal rankings, as I mentioned earlier, and also Dr. Muhammad Baufras mentioned here, and carefully enter transformative agreements. This is very important. Just don't jump and give your money to the publishers, and you should ask them various questions, whether you would go to open access mode in future, and what is the formula for your calculation. Everything they should disclose to us. So that's all about my presentation. Thank you so much for hearing. Yeah.
I would like to ask all other speakers to join us on the podium. So it seems like I'm always the guy who's trying to push people to finish early. And I don't want, I want us to stay here for another hour or two. I think there was a lot of interesting topics today. But unfortunately, we cannot spend our time. Also, the bus for the tour will be leaving at 5:30. So I will try to finish at that time, but 5 minutes, I think, is something that we can deserve. All right, 10 minutes. All right. So I'll start. We have some questions online, and I'd like to also ask the audience if you have questions, and I do hope you do. There's one there. But I'll start something. I think there's one common theme that I saw in all presentations, even though they had dramatic titles, less dramatic titles, different topics, but there's one thing, and it's to do with alternatives, right? I think it's a theme that what works elsewhere may not work for us. So on that kind of notion, and I mentioned at the beginning that diamond open access publishing is something we'll be hearing a lot of. And I would like to ask all of you your opinion on this question. How do you think diamond open access publishing can look in this region? We have different models, different business models, different ways. How, in your opinion, does diamond publishing look or will look in this region that works for us?
Thank you very much, Dr. Walid. I think the German initiative, it's a good an example to take for Arab world. I mean that to spend, I know that a lot of countries spend a lot of money for to scribe for hybrid journal. This funding can be given to foundation or some organization, or you can make a national diamond open access fund, national open access fund, and this fund will be as German, as I told you in my slide, that is reality only launched last week, and they create this fund. If journal move to diamond open access journal, they can get a fund, because as you know, every journal need a fund for their management, for their editorial board, for they need the money. How to get this money? I think it's as education at health, the government need to create. It's for knowledge good, for education, and this is, I think, the solution for Arab world. As you know, the scholar from Arab world cannot pay $1,000 to publish his article or in Western journal with a very high. Nature asked for $10,000 to publish. So to promote, to make a more visible Arab journal, open access journal. So this is the future and the recommendation of UNESCO. So I think, of course, it's something, but this is the solution for scholar in Arab world. This is my suggestion.
Thank you so much. Maybe we can hear from Nikesh.
Thank you. When you speak about Diamond Open Access Journal, there are two aspects mainly. One is finding fund for that. And second one is the recognition that I mentioned in my presentation. Finding fund, I think, the Middle East, the governmental organization, it is not very difficult to find fund for that, by through consortium and all. But the recognition is the main issue. Like, when you start a Diamond Open Access journals, if it is not indexed in so-called metrics like Scopus or Web of Science, it's very difficult. So when you start a Diamond Open Access journal, you make sure that the government mandate is there to recognize the publications which are published in diamond access journals, that would be considered for your promotion and career progress. Then only that will sustain. Okay, so that's my opinion about this. Thank you.
I think my answer will look. Is it normal? I think my answer will look at the subjects of diamond open access from three angles. If we are talking about government-sponsored journals or university-press journals, we are in a very good status already. I think most of them are already diamond, where the authors and the readers have free access. If we are talking about local commercial journals, then it's very easy to shift to diamond because, again, the APC cost is very negligible. With little local funding, they can flip to open access. The only problem and nemesis that we have is that as long as research institutions and funders are still insisting on Scopus indexed content for the international, I don't think the status will change soon, especially that the trend of transformative agreements has just hit our region recently, and it's just in the beginning. And that helps keep the status quo. And that's what the commercial publication world is all about. It's all about keeping either the gold as the primary route, or even worse, the hybrid model, where, as Nikish mentioned, is the worst alternative for us. I think with the chance of having alternative metrics and with local research assessments where peer review or representative publications of a researcher are evaluated, regardless of where they are published, if they are published in a local journal or in a regional journal in Arabic or in Egypt or wherever they are published, if we have a representative set of articles from that publisher and we evaluate them by a panel or committees or etc., as China is going to do now, we can say that this is the prestigious level of this researcher, regardless of how much money they have paid for the APCs. And actually, I take this opportunity to say that a lot of higher education institutions are not even asking about the quality of the journal in Scopus. And we know that there is a lot of predatory content out there, even in these international systems. And one final thing, and not exactly related to diamond open access, is the perseverance of these commercial models paints a distorted image of open access. And I could challenge anyone to give me now a real picture of open access in the world based on the tools, the existing tools from the commercial publishers. They can't. We don't know how many journals are exactly gold or hybrid, how many are shifting, how many have disappeared. A lot of journals are disappearing now. They are open, but you may search for that same journal after 1 year, it's disappeared, it's gone. So unless there is local monitoring and really business models without any financial agenda behind them, we don't have a clear picture of open access, whether diamond or gold or hybrid. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, I mean, I want to stay. Can we miss the bus? No, I think like 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I mean, do we have any publishers here? Like the very big commercial publishers. 10 years ago, there was a problem that said access is a problem. It's still access is a problem. And we shifted towards, transformative agreements. But instead of those who can't afford subscription, it's now a problem for those who can't afford publishing. We still have a problem, right? And to kind of not focus on the commercial stuff, but I just want to point with the UNESCO recommendation, it said nonprofit. Doesn't mean no revenue. So I think that's just a clear distinction that we have to make. It's fine to make money as long maybe as nonprofit, But not to be. If you Google one of the biggest publishers' name and how much they made in revenue last year, it's $9 billion US with 2 billion in profit. But I know that this discussion can take a different direction. I don't want us to focus on diamond publishing. So one of the questions that we got online, and I'm going to make a twist on it. It's basically, the question online was, what's Western publishers doing that local publishers are not doing? I mean, why is the Western publisher better? That was the online question, but I'm gonna make a twist, is that how can we make local journals thrive more? Is it a language issue? And maybe I'll start with Dr. Mohammed. Is it a language? Can Arabic journals survive in this world? And maybe I'll see what you guys have to add. So maybe Dr. Mohammed, if you can start, can Arabic journals survive?
I think it's very difficult because English has become a de facto language of science. I think Arabic has seen a better time, where Arabic was the language of science for a certain period of time, and then some European languages like French and German and so on, but now it's the era of English. But I think there is a chance, especially for local relevant content. At least the journals that are local, if we recognize that the research that is published in those journals is recognized by the evaluation committees, by the promotion committees, etc., there is a chance, because there is a wide readership for Arabic. So it's not like, oh, okay, all our readers are unable to read Arabic. There is still, you know? So it's just a question of how we approach it, you know? But if we keep chasing the international university rankings, we know that the methodology they are using is part of the biggest problem there is these international indexes. Yeah?
Touched on a point about Arabic, research in Arabic being such a long time. And it's, even this building is kind of a recognition of that. All the books upstairs are contemporary science knowledge, and you have to go to the Heritage Library to find the Arabic content. But that's for another conference. Nikesh or Dr. Kamel, if you have any comments.
Yeah, actually, we have only 5 minutes, so I'll make it in one sentence. Like, I have the same opinion of Dr. Baufras. Even though English is a de facto language, but Arabic has a lot of significance in terms of when you talk about culture or history of a country, you know, usually it gets published in the regional language. So I'm sticking on my previous argument, you know, the journals will sustain. If the university asks for the Scopus Index journal, how can we go for that? Even for the Islamic studies and all. So we need to make a quality journal list within the country, and all those journals should be recognized for promotion and career progress. That's my, thank you.
I think the idea to promote journal or open access journal, it's to think about local ranking and the local law by the government. I mean that if we need to promote Arabic, why there is no few Arabic journal indexed in some platform or some they have impact factor, because of course our ranking at university or for your CV, you need to publish in journal with the impact factor. So making some exception, I take an example in Algeria. When we launched this Algerian scientific journal platform, there were a big issue, especially for Arabic fields. So, for example, PhD students need to defend their thesis. They need to publish in a journal with the impact factor. So the Algerian government take a decision that you can publish in a national journal with some national criteria, and they put about 20 criteria for Arabic journal. Now, for example, in Algeria, we can defend your thesis in Arabic with the publication published in Algerian journal. With this, we can promote, and the journal will be more visible. Some journals are they have a visibility international behind this decision. Is the same for other local. So you have to put local in a local ranking and local impact factor, and local decision can promote Arabic open access journal. We don't wait to have, because of course, when we ask a student, please, why don't send your manuscript to my journal? The first question, as editor-in-chief of Open Access Journal, I receive many emails. What is the impact factor of your journal? I say that no impact factor, so I cannot send my manuscript to your journal. I need to defend my thesis. So the dilemma here, you have to promote local journal by promoting local criteria, national. Don't wait for other. Thank you
so much, Dr. Muhammad. The next presentation should be the curse of the impact factor. So I would like to open now, if we have a couple of minutes, I would like to open the questions to the audience. We can have one question. Who would like to have a question? We have over there.
Very short question. Slim Slama, CEO at the World Innovation Summit for Health. Since this morning, we were trying to strike a balance between open and quality, and Dr. Hilal started with the keynote mentioning that there are also elements about how we maintain quality. I really like the perspective that you brought around relevance, local relevance, but also the quality assurance that could be also done at the country level. So my question is, are we ready for that aspect of striking that balance? How the example that I think Dr. Muhammad mentioned about the Finnish publication forum as an example, and what the Chinese are doing at the moment. In the region, given also the size of some of the countries, like in Qatar, do we have the ability, I mean, in the Finnish example, I think it's 300 experts that are part of this, I think, publication forum that review and assess the quality of the research outputs. Are we ready for that? And what would be, I mean, the requirement to move forward in that direction of the transformation? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Who would like to?
I think we do have the capacity because the number of journals that are produced in the Arab world is not that phenomenal. So if we do a combination of using the quality, the rankings of those commercial databases, plus our local journals being added on top of that, we have a chance of doing it. In the Arab world, we have very, very limited number of journals. It's not like Netherlands, or where you have thousands and thousands of journals. And basically, there will be a lot of journals that wouldn't even go into the ranking. As in JUFO, they would be in zero, because either the quality is without a doubt questionable, or something like that. But I think it's manageable. Like in the UAE, we are talking about probably about 400 something journals. More than half of them, I think, can be crushed from the beginning, because there is doubts about their publisher from the onset. So it's manageable. At least I can talk for what I know about the UAE.
I apologize. I have to cut. If you have any last minute, we have to. I'm told we have to stop because I'm getting the signals from there. I would like to thank you all for your attention, all for your time, for speakers, and of course the audience for your attention. There are a lot of discussion points, and this time is not enough. And I do hope that we can continue these discussions over dinner and coffee breaks tomorrow. And thank you so much. And yeah, thank you.